Hello and welcome to another episode of Anfield Watch. Today, we're going to talk everything to do with Liverpool and Dutch footballers, Dutch coaches, and everything else in between. And to do that, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Jorn Aalders, who is a content creator in the Netherlands. Jorn, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Ben. Thanks for having me. I'm Jorn Aalders, a content creator for SA Update, a news platform in the Netherlands, and I'm present some videos. I'm making content, editing videos, and visiting every week a game of the Dutch Eredivisie for Feyenoord Ajax PSV. The top game of that weekend, and visiting their home games in Europe and see the matches of the national squad when the Dutch men are playing in the Netherlands. I'm visiting the best conference, filming that, editing, and put the content on our website and socials. So that's it for me. But thanks for having me, and I'm a big Liverpool fan, so let's start. Let's do it.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to ask you about, first of all, because you're Dutch and you're a Liverpool fan. So obviously last year, I think around this time, the news broke that Arne Slot was going to join Liverpool.
Yes.
What was your initial reaction? Can you remember?
I can remember. First of all, I thought it was a little bit hard to find a new coach after the Jurgen Klopp period. So when the news came in, Arne Slot was a potential new Liverpool manager. I had a little bit of my doubts because in the past we saw so many Dutch coaches who didn't make it in the Premier League. By Ronald Koeman, his first period at Southampton was good, but at Everton, Louis van Gaal didn't make it. At Manchester United, Ten Hag as well. So I had my doubts because I thought it was, how would you replace Jurgen Klopp? It was a little bit hard to think what can he do, but he did it excellent in my opinion. Arne Slot in the Netherlands was a perfect coach. He had 2 periods as a head coach before at AZ Alkmaar, where he was until 2021, I thought so, of 2020. Yeah, 2020. And in that year COVID came in, and it stops the Dutch Eredivisie. But if we finish that league, that season, I think he won the Eredivisie with AZ. Now Ajax on paper is the champions of that season, but it improves that Arne Slot was a very good coach, and he contracted that year for Feyenoord. So he had a perfect time. In his first season, he reached the final of the Conference League. Well, one season later, he became the champions of the Netherlands, and after that, he wins. Last season, he won the cup final with Feyenoord. So he's a very lovely coach. So when the news came in, I thought, he is a potential good coach, but I'm not sure if he can make it at Liverpool.
So is it fair to say that, since he's come in, he's surprised you a little bit?
He did. Well, in the Dutch press are also impressed about his performance. I think in the beginning, everyone has had a little bit his doubts. But the thing is, Arne Slot is a very good coach, and he has a perfect squad to improve all the talents he has as a manager. But I never expect he was able to win the Premier League in his first season. Isn't there yet, but in the upcoming weeks, I hope he make that dream realistic, and we can win the 20s Premier title. Oh, I'm sorry. We can win the Premier League, but I don't know. It was hard, but the Dutch media is positive about him, and we all love to see what he's doing there.
I'm kind of interested to know, what does the Dutch media think about Slot in terms of what makes him a good coach? What are the elements? Is it his character, his playing style, or what does he get the most praise for in the media?
I think his character, yeah. He is down to earth, directly Dutch man, you know. He says what he's thinking. He is not a chaotic person. He's so calm that, and his players are loving him. He, by Feyenoord, when he was there in the squad, there weren't any injuries during his period. And I think you can see the same at Liverpool this season. How many players had a big injury? Maybe Bradley, maybe Gomez. But to compare it with last season, it's totally different. So in that way, Slot's, yeah, I don't know. His squad is always fit and always ready for the next game. And that's what we love to see. And he's so calm and never thought that he can handle with the English press or something like that. But, and his English is very good. So, yeah, that's, I think that's the reason why we all love Arne Slot as a manager.
I think as well, you know, you have to give credit not just to Slot, but Johnny Heitinga, Sipke Huslov, and another Dutch man in Ruben Peters. When you mentioned the injuries, he seems to be the sort of brains behind all of that. So it seems like there's a really strong Dutch core now in Liverpool.
Yeah, it is. And I think the connection with him and captain Virgil van Dijk is also a good connection, I think so. Yeah, you have also other players like Gravenberch and Gakpo, Dutch players. So I think for Arne Slot it is a good place to be, and for Liverpool as well. He's a lovely manager, and I hope he can make it this season as a Premier League title winner, and maybe in the future as for winning the Champions League or something like that. But
out of curiosity, I'm Hungarian, so when Dominik Szoboszlai signed for Liverpool, everyone in Hungary became Liverpool fans. Has there been an increased attention on Liverpool? Are there more Liverpool fans even with Slot coming in?
I think it is, yeah. I'm a Liverpool fan for 15 years, so for me the career is much longer. But you also saw it when Erik ten Hag was signing for Manchester United. On the television, or all the Ajax fans were saying, "Oh, you need to check Manchester United." No, absolutely not. But you can compare it now with the Feyenoord fans and Arne Slot. A lot of our Feyenoord fans are saying now to me, "Oh, you need to check Liverpool. Really good. They won again." So yeah, I know, but yeah, I think Arne Slot is. Well, Liverpool is always in the Netherlands a big club because Virgil van Dijk is now playing there. Wijnaldum is there. I think Liverpool is one of the biggest clubs in the world, so that's normally. But it changed a little bit. Yeah, it changed a little bit. Every Dutch media center is always talking about Slot. Yeah, he's. I know. I think he's a hero for maybe Liverpool fans, but in the Netherlands, he is as well.
On to Virgil van Dijk. He has decided, it seems, that he will sign a 2-year contract extension. At the time that we're speaking, it hasn't been confirmed yet, so it's not official. But Mohamed Salah's new contract is official, and it feels like Virgil van Dijk will follow suit, and the announcement is imminent. By the time this video gets released, it might even be official. What has been the reaction to sort of the contract stuff in the Netherlands? Have people talking about Van Dijk?
Yes.
Do people want him to stay at Liverpool, or maybe they wanted him perhaps to go on a different adventure?
No, I think everyone in the Netherlands hopes he will like to stay at Liverpool. But about the contract situation, from the beginning of the season, it is one of the biggest subjects in the Netherlands. Yeah, and that, for me, that's a little bit strange. Also for Arne Slot as a manager, you came in at a new club on the highest level, and from the beginning of the season, one of your three biggest players are gonna leave maybe at the end of the season. How would you like to start a new a new period like that? But for Virgil van Dijk, I was at the press conference a few weeks ago for the Dutch squad, and Ronald Koeman had said that he had a conversation with Van Dijk that he would like to stay on the highest level in Europe. So from that moment, I thought he won't leave Liverpool for maybe into Miami or something like that, or go to Saudi Arabia. I do not think that Van Dijk will ever travel to Saudi Arabia. But yeah, the rumors to leave Liverpool maybe for Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah, I'm happy that he would like to stay, and I think it for him is the best to stay, because you are the captain of Liverpool now for 2 years, but in the future you can be the leader, the real leader. This season you're winning again a trophy, hopefully, but yeah, you win a big prize. Why would you like to leave? You're playing in the best competition of the world. Well, if Van Dijk decide to leave Liverpool for Paris Saint-Germain, in what kind of competition would you like to play there? So, being on the highest level, I think the only option is for him to stay at Liverpool, and I hope so. And everyone in the Netherlands sees that in that way. Dutch journalists are just hoping that he stays on the highest level in Europe.
I guess the question here is, it seems like he will sign a 2-year contract extension at Liverpool. That's going to be the length. Now he's going to be 34 years old by the end of this year.
Yeah.
By the end of his 2-year contract, he will be 36. So what does the sort of future hold for Van Dijk beyond his 2-year contract? If he stays at Liverpool, do you think he will extend and maybe play even closer to his 40s, or do you think these are now his last 2 years at Liverpool and he will see out his contract and then move on somewhere else, maybe like an Inter Miami, because you mentioned that earlier?
Yeah, maybe at the end of this period, that could be a good option for him. I'm not sure if it is good to hold him after that 2 years, because after a period like this, it is also good to say goodbye in the best way you can do. And when he is 36, I think maybe there are enough potential new defenders who can fill in his place of refilling. You can replace him. Van Dijk in 2 years, for me, he's the best Dutch defender I ever see in my lifetime. So I'm 25 years old. So before that, I didn't saw anything. But he's the best player. He's so calm. After his big injury of 3 years ago, he's back. He's really back, and he's improving everyone as a defender. So for this upcoming 2 years, it's the best option. for Liverpool to hold him. I think so. And after that 2 years, maybe it's good to say goodbye. After winning 2 times the Premier League in the upcoming 2 years, that is good for me. But what would you think? Is it good for him to go further after that 2 years?
I don't know. I think it all depends. I think it depends on how his next 2 seasons go. 2 years is a long time in football.
Yeah,
a lot can change, so it's hard to predict. And that kind of brings me onto another question, because he's getting towards the end of his career. There's no question about that. I wanted to ask, what is his legacy in the Netherlands? Like, how is he perceived? Because there's been so many great Dutch players over the years, and there's been Dutch players who've also won tournaments at international level. Van Dijk has not yet managed to do that. So I was wondering about sort of how he's perceived and what do the Dutch people want from him.
A World Cup title or a European title with our Dutch team, but we had won once the European champions. So to be honest, I think that's the only prize Van Dijk needs to earn to get his legacy done. But for me and for, I think, many Dutch fans, he's already a hero. Look at him. He's playing at one of the biggest clubs in the world. He is one of the best defenders in the world. He was so close to winning the Ballon d'Or a few years ago. What do you need to do more to get in? To become a hero. I don't know.
In the top 10? You seen the top 10 greatest Dutch players of all time?
For me, yes.
What about top 5?
Top 5, I don't know. Yeah, you have Johan Cruyff, Marco van Basten, Ruud Gullit, Ronald Koeman. So I'm not sure how good that players were, because I wasn't there yet. But top 10, yes. As a defender, he's absolutely top 3, maybe the best we ever had. But
maybe in the 21st century, he's the best ever.
Yes, absolutely, no doubts about that. And it's funny to see, because I was looking to his stats. He plays 3 years for FC Groningen. After that, he left the club for a new experience at Celtic. But on his 23, he plays for the first time in the Dutch squad. That's hard to realize, because we have now so many young defenders, but Van Dijk was the best player, is the best player we had. And I think on his age, as a 23-year-old boy, he was good enough to kill every other defender in the national squad. So that's a little bit strange. But I love Van Dijk as I was so young, because I'm supporting another Dutch club. But we played against Groningen, and his way of acting, he's so big, he's fast, he's strong. Everyone's loved to see him playing, but he never played for Ajax, Feyenoord of PSV. A little bit strange, because in that time Van Dijk was so cheap to buy a big European defender hero. So I think that's strange. And he won't return. He won't return to the Dutch Eredivisie. No. Now, after that 2 years, he maybe ends his career at Miami or in America. But
I'm sure the weather is a lot better there.
Yeah, of course, it's a lot better, but also good, also fine. What he do not need to improve anyone in the Netherlands that he's the best defender. So by playing for PSV Ajax Feyenoord, why should he do that if you show your talent at Liverpool and ending your career in America? It's fine.
I wanted to ask you about the other Dutch players as well, because it's not just Van Dijk. There's obviously Cody Gakpo and Ryan Gravenberch, both at Liverpool, and both have kind of really emerged as some of the team's best players under Arne Slot. I think the two of them maybe didn't have like a definite position or role in the team under Jurgen Klopp, but then Slot came in and both Gravenberch and Gakpo have sort of just kicked on and become really key players in the team.
Yes, I think you're right. Gravenberch is playing an absolutely brilliant season for me. I think he's shown now his talent we all saw when he was a young boy at Ajax. After that period, he left to Bayern Munich. Maybe it was a good step, but I think he didn't got there the real chance to improve. So I never expect Liverpool will sign him after a year, after he had played a year at Bayern Munich. But I was happy with it because Liverpool already paid maybe 30 million, or am I right?
35, I think.
Yeah, it's a good price for him, for a young talent. Yes, the first season was a little bit hard for him. He had good games, but often it was he need to find his real place indeed. And last summer he didn't play any minute during the European Champions for the Netherlands. So when Slot came in, I never expect he was able to reach this level. I never thought it. But I saw a game of Liverpool with one of my mates against Fulham at home in last December. Robertson got the early red card, so Gravenberch came back from the midfield as a defender. Was using as a defender. He played brilliantly. So I think he can play on more positions than just only on the midfield. But I love to see him.
He played centre back against Fulham as well last week, and and I think he played a bit of time at left back as well during that match. So yeah, there's some interesting options there for Arne Slot.
Yeah, but he's so smooth on the ball. He's like a dancer or something. But he's big as well. He's so powerful. So I love to see him playing in this Liverpool squad. And I think, big compliments to Arne Slot as well and his staff to get him back on that level we were wishing for. But Cody Gakpo as well. When Gakpo came in, I think Liverpool had a very difficult season. His stats were maybe okay, but the way he was playing, it was a little bit not so smooth as you were wishing for. Last season was much better on the club, but not on that level he reached this season. But I think with Gakpo, it's always a little bit in periods, Then he plays 5 games outstanding, and after that, then it's a little bit less. But I love to see how he improves himself, and I hope he plays many years now for Liverpool and also in the upcoming years. He's the best attacker for the Dutch squad. And how can I say that? He scores in the Champions League. He scores in the Premier League. Every tournament he shows his real talent, and he scores also for the Dutch squad as well. So he's on a good level, I think so. What do you think about him? Do you expect he can replace maybe Díaz in a few years, or is it good to see that you can change the way of playing and the only game? Yeah, how do you see it?
I think he's already replaced Díaz. If you're looking at sort of the numbers and the stats, I think he's better than Díaz. I think apart from Mohamed Salah, of course, because Mohamed Salah is Mohamed Salah, he's been the best player in this Liverpool team this season in the attack. That is, outside of the attack, there's probably Van Dijk, maybe Gravenberch ahead of him. But in terms of importance and, delivering week in, week out, like you said, sometimes before he was a streaky player, but this season, apart from this kind of spell with the injury, he's been really good, and kind of makes me think, like, are there going to be more Dutch players coming into this Liverpool team? Because week in, week out, you see the transfer rumours, and there's so many Dutch players being linked to Liverpool.
Yes, I see it as well, but I have my doubts about that because it reminds me of a period that Real Madrid signs too many Dutch players with Arjen Robben, Van Nistelrooy, Drenthe, Sneijder, Van der Vaart. Of course, most Dutch people speaking English well, so that's another way of communicating them when they were in Spain, for instance, like that. But I'm not sure if it is good to buy too many Dutchmen for Liverpool.
Let's talk about some of them though. One of them who has been linked very heavily is Jeremie Frimpong. Now he's someone who plays as a sort of wing back for Bayer Leverkusen, but I see him more of a winger type of player.
Yes.
But for me, it's been a surprise link in the sense that he's being talked about as a replacement for Trent Alexander-Arnold when they play very different styles, shall we say. And if you're looking at Jeremie Frimpong, he's more like Mohamed Salah type of player than a Trent Alexander-Arnold type of player. So what do you make of this one?
You're totally right. For me, Frimpong can't replace Trent, in my opinion, because he's indeed not a right back, if you ask me. Conor Bradley is, for me, a better option. Trent has the perfect kick. Frimpong doesn't has, but he's so fast. He's quicker than, I don't know, a city scooter or something like that. So, but playing together with Salah, I do not see the connection. I don't know how Slot would like to do that. Maybe yes in the future, but at the Dutch squad as well, you saw last season. First, Koeman would use him as a right back, but during the first game, he changed his plan and used him as a right winger. And now, when Frimpong is playing for the Dutch squad, he is a right winger. So it's hard to say, but I do not see him as a replacement for Trent Alexander-Arnold as a right back. And if you really want Frimpong, you need to change the system. I don't know. I won't do that.
So what about another right back who has actually got two things in common with you, because he's Dutch and he's a Liverpool fan, Givaro Reed. He is a young teenager who's really burst onto the scene at Feyenoord over the last few months, I would say. He actually made his debut under Arne Slot last season, and he seems a player a bit more like Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yes. I see him more as a defender, indeed. I'm not sure if I see Trent as the best defender. But Javara Reed is a really good young talent. But for me, it is too soon to say if he is good enough to go to Liverpool. Yes, the last few months he's playing very well at AC Milan, and one of the Dutch Eredivisie games he had 3 brilliant assists. So his potential is there, yeah, of course, but I'm not sure if it is good enough to go to Liverpool. Maybe yes, but give him the time. I'm not sure if he can replace Trent in the next season. So that will be too soon, if you ask me. But yeah, he has this connection with Arne Slot. So let's see. What do you think?
I think it would be an interesting option if Conor Bradley becomes first choice and you bring him in as a backup centre back, right back. Sorry, then I think that makes sense.
But then, what kind of play would you like to see Liverpool is playing next season? Because in the last 8 years, we know what Trent was doing there was brilliantly. But to replace him, and put Bradley as your right back, would you miss the kick, the crossbar?
I think so, and this is what you're never going to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold. And actually, this brings me to another Dutch player, because the only way you can replace him is by replacing him on the aggregate. So you bring in players in a different position who can create chances. And one player who's been linked with a move to Liverpool is Xavi Simons, and another Dutch player who's doing very well at RB Leipzig. And maybe he could be one to sort of replace the creativity if he comes into the side and plays as a number 10. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yes. As a number 10, yes. In the Dutch squad, we also saw him as a right winger. I think he isn't on his best on that position, but as a number 10, he's really good. But I have my doubts about if he is good enough to, for on the Premier League. As a number 10 in the Premier League, look like Szoboszlai. He's also a big man, a strong man. I'm not sure if Simons is a strong man. Maybe he's a better player in the La Liga or something like that. But I love Xavi Simons. If you see him on his best, then yeah, he's good enough. But what do you think? What is your opinion about Xavi Simons? Because Xavi Simons is like Jeremie Frimpong, for instance, is one of the Dutch players who left the Netherlands on an early age when they were 5 or 6 or something like that. So they grew up in another country. How do you look to Xavi Simons?
I think you can see that influence, because obviously he played many years in Barcelona's La Masia Academy, then went to PSG, and I think you can see the different cultures and the different sort of football styles that are imprinted in his game. He plays in not maybe a traditional sort of Dutch style, you would say.
Yes.
He's got elements that I think could be really useful in that number 10 position for Liverpool that maybe Dominic Szoboszlai doesn't bring. But I think you raise a good question: is can he do the off the ball work that Dominic Szoboszlai does do, that kind of physicality, the winning the duels? And maybe that is a question mark. Maybe that is something that he might not necessarily be able to do. But at the same time, I mean, he's playing for RB Leipzig, who are known for that style of play, the pressing, the intensity, and he's doing a good job in that role. And I think as well, the other thing is, Arne Slot doesn't seem to trust Harvey Elliott, who's maybe a little bit of a similar profile to Simons. But what I would say is Simons got the speed. He can be quick, which he's got the advantage over Elliott, because for Elliott, one of Elliott's probably biggest weaknesses is he's a brilliant technical player. He's fantastic in his creativity, but he doesn't have that intensity, that speed. And I think Simons is a little bit different. He's got all the qualities of Elliott, but he's got the speed and the intensity as well. So for me, he could be a good option for Liverpool, and something different to Dominic Szoboszlai, because sometimes we need something different as well.
You're right, and you need to see what a game is asking. Of course, you have McAllister as well and Gravenberg. So in that way, Simons is a good option, but if you need to pay more than 70 million for him to use him in the way, sometimes the game is asking it. I think it is a lot of money to pay.
That is a good point.
But his pretension is good. Is really good. But as a number 10, I'm not sure if it is the best option.
The last player that I want to ask you about is João Hato, who was actually earlier this year spotted at Anfield, and it emerged, I think, in the Dutch media that he was invited by Ryan Gravenberch, of all people. He seems to have a close connection with him, obviously both Ajax Academy graduates. Do you think, at the moment, Liverpool need a left back, and they're going to be in the left back market? Milos Kerkez is another one who's being linked, and he actually played in the Netherlands too for Arne Slot's former club, not while Arne Slot was there. But another name is, of course, Hato, who is having a great season, I think, for Ajax. Playing as a left back, but he can also play as a centre back. Do you think he could be an option for Liverpool?
Yes, he can be an option. He's a really big talent. Not similar to Van Dijk, but he has his body. He has a good technique. He's strong. He's extremely fast. So he has many weapons to improve in the Premier League, I think. But he's so young. He's still 19. But what is typical for now, Ajax is on the first position in the Netherlands, and he's one of the best players in that squad. But for me, more important is last season, Ajax had a worse season. Well, they finished at the end, they reached European football, but at the beginning of the season, they were at the bottom of the league. But Hato was doing that season, improving himself, and shows that I thought he was the captain in the beginning of that season, just on an age of 18 or 17. So everyone's looked up to him, and he fights for that team. So maybe in years, it could be your leader, your new captain. So I think, it's a really good option for Liverpool. The only thing I was discussing about this subject this morning with one of my colleagues, maybe he has the same thing as Gravenberch. You need to give him time. I'm not sure if you sign him, he plays next season every game. I'm not sure if he can reach that level, because you're asking too much maybe. So with Kerkez are playing now a brilliant season at Bournemouth. Well, if you sign him, he knows the Premier League. But in potential, Hato is a world-class player, I think so.
I think you have to kind of weigh out the options, because Kerkez will probably cost more than Hato. Hato is 3 years younger though, so do you pay less money but for maybe more potential, because it's possible that he could be better, and also at the same time he's someone who could potentially be used not just in one position but 2 positions, and at the same time you bring in maybe in 2 years' time as we were speaking about Virgil van Dijk's contract
Indeed,
coming to an
that
end,
was the
you bring
connection.
in his replacement.
Yes, but he's a left foot player. I think as a central defender, he's better on the left side. That's the thing we need to say. Maybe if you look to him, you will. In the beginning, I never expect he's more left winger because he's so big. He has, well, his body shows that's a central defender like Van der Ven. You know him.
Or Joško Guardiola for Man City. You know, he's always been a centre back and now he's a left back.
Indeed, but Hato has the same. Has the same for me. What do you think? Do you think Robertson is it's over after the season for Andy Robertson, or is it an option when you buy Hato and you give him the time and the games, and you have Robertson as a backup? That's still good.
You know, as a Hungarian, my heart will always swing towards Milos. I think he's ready to come into Liverpool,
yes.
And as a Hungarian, I kind of have to say that. But I do think Hato is a very interesting prospect, and I would be very happy if Liverpool made that choice as well, because, like you said, I think he's got world-class potential. I think he may need a bit more time, but I don't think Robertson is 100% finished. You know, he's not an awful player.
Indeed.
He's still up there, maybe in the top 5 left backs in the Premier League. So, you know, having him rotate with Hato, I don't think is necessarily a bad option. But like the same with Milos, I think it just depends on. Liverpool have a lot of business to do this summer. You know. They have a lot of players to replace, a lot of players to bring in. So I think it just depends on budget-wise who is going to be more favoured, because it certainly feels like the left-back position, maybe Hato and Kerkez are 2 of the big targets. There might be a few others, but these are the 2 names that get mentioned the most. So it just depends, I think, on what the budget will look like for Liverpool and how much money there will be left to bring those players in.
Yes, but last season you didn't spend that kind of money, so hopefully, you put it now on new contracts of Salah and Van Dijk. Did that improve you that Arne Slot came in and didn't buy new players? What do you thought about that?
I think
was that a good move? Was it a good?
At the time, I mean, obviously, you wanted a holding midfielder. That's what we wanted, and we didn't get, so it was frustrating. But it almost worked out better for Liverpool, because we discovered that Ryan Gravenberch is not. He can't just be a holding midfielder. He can be one of the best holding midfielders in the Premier League. So, for it worked out, and I think it shows Slot's quality as a coach, that he can work with all these players that he inherited, and he doesn't have to bring in new players. But I think this summer there will be changes, because it does feel like, especially in attack, he has players who maybe don't necessarily suit his style of football. And I think
Darwin.
Exactly, and I think Liverpool will look at it and they will bring in players who are more tailored towards what Slot wants, and it's going to be an interesting summer.
Yes, and that's also what it makes so interesting about the Frimpong, because rumors says that Slot has some contact with him during this season with Frimpong. So that maybe changed a little bit the way we are looking to Frimpong. Maybe Slot already had a plan for him for the Frimpong project. I'm not sure, but
it's one we'll have to keep an eye on.
Yes, indeed. It will be an interesting summer. But first, hopefully we can celebrate a new Premier League title.
Yeah, let's hope so. And finally, we've had a long conversation, but I wanted to ask you, because you're a Dutch expert, like you said, week in, week out, you're watching Eredivisie games. is there someone like a next Cody Gakpo, a next Ryan Gravenberch, who could potentially end up at Liverpool, and who we haven't mentioned on this podcast yet, on this video, sorry. Is there anyone that you would say, Liverpool fans, go watch him right now, because he's going to be special, and in the future, he could be a Liverpool player?
Exactly to say, but I'm not sure. No, in the Dutch Eredivisie, we have some good players, but they aren't playing for the Dutch national squad. So at PSV, they're playing a midfielder, Saibari. He's Dutch, but he's playing for the national squad of Morocco. I think that could be a potential midfielder for a Premier League club. I'm not sure he reached the level of Liverpool. But you're asking me for Dutch players. So to be honest, not at the moment, I think so. Not at the moment. Kenneth Taylor has a brilliant season at Ajax this year, but I'm not sure if he's gonna reach that level of Liverpool. I think if you see Liverpool playing, I think he's not a player you need. So no, we need a good striker, but in the Netherlands, we didn't have at the moment. So hopefully in a few years, but at this moment, I need to sadly say that I didn't see anyone.
Well,
that's not the answer you. There's not the answer you answer.
No, but we'll take it. I appreciate honesty. I'd rather honesty than for you to make up a name or something like that. But thank you so much, Jorn. Really appreciate your time. If
thanks.
We have any Dutch listeners, which we probably do, where can they find you?
On Instagram, Jorn Aalders, Jorn _Aalders for the Dutch listeners. And of course, checking FC Update, the brand I'm working for. So that's it, I think so.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for listening in. Just wanted to remind you that we're also available on Spotify and Apple as well, and all your other podcast platforms, so you can listen to us there. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. Thank you very much.